When you think of tension, what exactly do you think of? How does it feel? And how do you communicate that in writing? For me, tension, especially romantic tension, it's not always something that you express in words. Rather, it's something that you feel, but we'll get into it in this video. Hello, welcome to my video. Happy Black History Month and happy February for the month of love. Obviously, I'm not a singer. I am just a YouTuber, a black girl, a black novelist YouTuber living in Japan, and I am just here to give you some writing techniques. You can catch my previous video here, I believe, where I talk about why I love writing and why other writers love writing as well. Please check it out. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And today's topic will be about tension in writing. And before you start, because I know some of y'all are like, well, you already talked about this. No, I didn't. I talked about something else. But before that, you can pick your poison and listen along, or just use me as background noise. Either is okay. I'm just happy to be a part of your life. And remember, this video is here to help you write your heart's contents. Okay, let's go ahead and just get into everything. Tension. Let's talk about it. There's tension in love romantically, and then tension in the plot if you're writing, and if you're writing romance novel, of course, but if you're writing in general and there's a relationship and that you're trying to get started, yeah. To break it down, what I talked about before y'all come for my neck, what I talked about was you have chemistry, then you have desire, and now we're talking about tension. So there are 3 different things. It's up on the screen. Please check it out. For me, there is desire and tension, and I do separate them. I talked about it in my previous video about desire. Desire has the longing, the attraction, the yearning, the ache, that painful feeling from, something you want but you can't have. The tension is that risk factor that comes in where, okay, I'm ready to risk it all. I'm ready to risk it all for you. For you. That comes with the restraint. That's the after effects of the yearning when you don't get what you want. The restraint, the risk, basically that delay from the withholding with the desire, and that pressure that is put on you. Or, sorry, not you, but your character, depending on what you're writing and how you're writing it. Yeah. A lot of people can view tension as action, but it's not always action. It can be about, like I said, the pressure about it all, the whole crux of the situation. That comes from a lot of unanswered questions that maybe the counterpart or the love interest has that they're just not getting the answer to, or even from the main character, either. That can come from, oh, sorry, I just got a message. That can come from half lies, partial truths, which I am a fan of in my novels. But anyways, another thing I'll bring up is delayed understanding, where you have the character who maybe for the whole novel just does not understand why they're not together. I don't know. I don't personally recommend that as someone who loses their patience very easily. But having delayed understanding is one prime example of how you build the tension. Just don't drag it out. Please don't drag it out. That is one way to assassinate your novel, I personally feel, but that's just my humble opinion, okay? So anyways, let's move on to the tips of how to fix and get that tension in your novel. Thank God my mom isn't watching this video. Okay, let's talk about it. So I'm gonna tell you the 3P, and also if you watch Charmed, do you remember P3? I'm in the middle of rewatching Charmed, and I'm on season 3, and you know what happens towards season 3 and season 4. I'm just like, I'm charting it. Oh, I just realized this ladybug on my cheek. Actually, I just want to tell a story. This ladybug on my cheek is from my best friend. It's just a sticker that I put on random stuff. I have a bag full of ladybugs that my best friend gifted me, I think, during my graduation, when I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology. Like, I really love miraculous ladybugs, so she just, I don't know where she found these, but she got them for me. And so I have random ladybugs everywhere. And then I just decided to put this on my cheek in the spirit of this month being red and pink Valentine's Day month. So that's why it's here. That's all. The 3P3, whatever you want to call it. Go watch Charmed. You have 3 things. You have the promise, the progress, and the payoff. And we are going to explain what all of that means. Right, Inuyasha? Right, Blitz? Okay. Promise. You signal what the reader is about to get into and what's about to go on and the kind of scene they're stepping into. Progress. That is something that changes, something that shifts. That little change. It could be a big change, but usually if you're doing tension right, you want it to be not enough, not even satisfactory. It's just something's changing. I can feel the desire, the yearning is there. The tension is building. This is the building part where you have the progress. And then the payoff is where the finally happens later. And I'm talking about, it can be romantic tension. It can be just something in the plot, because I'm going to be speaking like romantically and plot-wise for this whole video. Mostly plot-wise, though. So I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. Okay, I'm going to give one. In one of my novels, the character finds this flash drive. And she's like, okay, what's on this flash drive? She opens it, gets in, and I'm summarizing. I'm not telling you everything that's going on. But she opens it, goes in, and she's like, what is on this flash drive? There's insert beep. Beep is on the flash drive. And she's like, oh, hell no, what is going on? And so she ends up basically throughout the novel trying to figure out, she knows what's on the flash drive. She's just trying to figure out why the flash drive exists. And that's the progress part where she's trying to piece together why this flash drive even exists in the first place. And then the payoff is when, oh, this is what this flash drive information means, and this is why it exists. So, promise, I tell the readers, hey, this key point, this information right here, that's kind of important. Progress. Getting a bit of more information in the background about what the flash drive is, and then the payoff when you, oh, that's what that is? Okay. Like that, okay? I hope that made sense. I know it's kind of, I'm all over the place. Why am I like this? But alas, do not, SK.
I do not.
We got SK up in here. Do not rush the tension. Please, if you are going to build up that desire, do not rush it so that there's a quick payoff. No one wants to, I'm not going to make this sexual, but, you can kill tension. Literally kill it by rushing the payoff. You want to have steady progress through all of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about point number 2. Tension and how to create it. And no, it is not created by conflict. It is created by consequences. Yes, it is different from desire in the fact that when it comes to tension and breaking it down between conflict and consequences, conflict, something goes wrong. Okay, great, something happened. Consequence, something that can't be undone. A consequence of the actions, and sometimes that's even consequence of the conflict. I can tell you that one way to increase the tension in a novel is to make sure that that consequence, or specifically that there is a cost that has permanent and lasting consequences. Best way to increase the tension in a novel. This next novel has romance, of course, but also a lot of action and a lot of decisions where the main character has to make a lot of choices that do have consequences and that do backfire on her, because she's not perfect and she's learning the hard way that she is not perfect as she so thought. Here is an example of a novel I'm contemplating writing, but I have my reasons why I may not, but I probably will. I don't know, wherever the wind blows me. So the story goes like this. There's this engagement party thing going on, and there's this girl. She doesn't know anyone there, so she's just going to get like fresh air on the balcony. It's a huge engagement party in a huge event hall, and she's just like, I know maybe 2 or 3 friends here, but other than that, I need some fresh air. So she goes out and she gets some fresh air, and there she talks to a guy, and they're just making small talk. It's not anything really big, but they're just talking casually. And through this casual interaction and conversation, she's like, life is not exactly what I thought it would be. She's like reflecting on her own life at this point. And she decides, I don't like the life that I'm painting for myself. Whatever. Ding, ding, ding. They call for everyone to come back in the room to come toast and cheer to the soon-to-be fiancés or whatever. She goes back in, and to the guy's surprise, she's the fiancé. This guy that they were having good banter and good conversation on the balcony, that was the fiancé. So she goes up and she's telling the fiancé at the top of the stairs, where everyone's like looking at them like, hey, wait, stop, we need to talk. Can we stop for just 2 seconds? He's like, you're embarrassing me. Just smile for the camera and smile for the people. And she's just like, can we please just talk? He says, no, we will talk when we go home. Keep in mind, this is an exchange in front of everyone. So everyone's at the bottom of the stairs looking up at the couple like, what's going on? What are they doing? Why are you looking at each other like that? So eventually she just turns to everyone, deciding that this man's not going to listen. And she says, the engagement is off. I can't do this. And then she runs out of the room, and the 1 or 2 other friends she has there chase after her. I have a whole story for how that's going to unfold and the consequences that come for her breaking off this engagement and essentially making a blank canvas for herself. That was a very long-winded way of talking about this. I'm sorry. But that just goes to say I plan to build up tension through this, and especially when it comes to them having that talk on the stairs and she just suddenly decides, I'm done with this engagement. Because now the consequences that follow after that, she's living in his house. She got her degree, but ain't nothing to do with it. She was living off of him. So the consequences are now what she's going to have to do with the rest of her life now that she's trying to break off this engagement. Okay? So that is just a very clear example of how that choice, that has consequences that are permanent. They're going to change dynamics and relationships forever in the course of that novel. They are going to remove options because she was set up for life with the guy she was marrying. And I think one of the best things about it is that she's crossing a line that she technically can't uncross or undo. Stakes are high, baby. Stakes are high. Okay, next point. Woo. For point number 3, please just delay the meaning. Delay the meaning. Please just delay the meaning, but don't delay the action. Does that make sense? If not, I'm gonna get into it. Action, fast, quick, snap of my fingers. Meaning, well, it takes time to make lemonade, right? So go make some lemonade out of that. Give yourself the time, do the action, but give yourself time to make the meaning out of it. Okay, I know I'm not making no sense. I'm just going to go back to the example I guess I kept in the video because it's vital for what I'm about to say now. She did something impulsive, quickly, suddenly, in their engagement after talking with this one guy for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or however long they're on the balcony. Impulsive decision with consequences. Now, after, what do you think is the aftermath of that? There needs to be some emotional consequence that either hits in the next chapter or in later chapters. There has to be something where I personally think that there needs to be some settling with emotions. Like, realistically speaking, you don't feel an emotion and then, okay, next. I mean, some people do, I don't know. But you sit with that emotion. That emotion, I still remember a lot of embarrassing things I did from high school. So many embarrassing things I did from high school that pop up and cause an emotional feeling within me. So imagine also that the consequences directly after you do something embarrassing or something happens, you feel that for some time to come, and sometimes you need to take time to process it, right? And if you are trying to keep some realistic aspects to your novel, please make sure to have the character or the scene or whatever with the tension, make sure those consequences hit emotionally and that emotional feeling lasts for a couple of chapters or comes back up every now and then. That's super, super, super important. I also want to but talk about Blood and Water a little bit. Just very quick example. I'll be quick. But in that novel, the main character tells a half-truth, a half-lie, and our best friend is like, what is going on with you? I haven't seen you for 3 years. You suddenly up and left out of nowhere. You're not telling me why you up and left. And now you're coming back and you're doing all this extra stuff. all that lying or all the half lying she does, that comes back to bite her in the butt with her best friend later on. Consequences and emotional hits. I made sure to keep that tension in the novel because realistically speaking, I know if I did the same thing to my best friend where I did anything that my character does, there's gonna be some emotional hits. It's not just action. There's gonna be the meaning behind it. Anyways, the goal is just to create lingering tension by having fast actions with slow emotional clarity. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's go on to the next point. So for my fourth point, this is actually something I really need to work on, and I am, but that's why I'm mentioning it here. You have to let silence do some of the work for you. You don't always need to overfill a scene with information. Sometimes that tension can be built just from silence as a form of withholding. So just let the plot do the work. You do not need to overfill your cup. You don't need to overfill with words or spewing on a page. You really don't. Silence works just fine to form or to work as a form of withholding and to build that tension. And also keep in mind, I know it's easy to overfill a scene, especially when it comes to someone saying something and then the character has to respond back, but sometimes silence is just an answer. I can't tell you how many times someone says something stupid to me and I'm just like, someone says something crazy to me and I'm like, I just let silence be my answer to let them know what you said either wasn't cool or no. I don't, sometimes words aren't necessary. That's in life and in novels. Some examples of what this may look like with silence in the form of tension. It could be a character, like I said, simply not answering, not answering, not saying anything. They don't always have to speak. They don't always have to have an answer. Hell, I don't even have an answer most of the time when people say things to me. Another example is conversation not happening. I remember watching, what was it? I was watching Selling Sunset and Chriselle and Nicole were going back and forth, and then Nicole said something absolutely disgusting, and usually Chriselle fires off, but she couldn't even say anything because what Nicole said hurt so bad. So keep that in mind. Another form, I know that wasn't a novel reference, but that was the first thing that came to mind. Anyways, another form of silence with tension is having a truth in the room, having it being acknowledged, but nothing is done. Nothing is done. It is not discussed. The character just keeps that information to themselves. Like, okay, I'm gonna tuck it away in the back of my mind and we'll see what happens later. You get the tension at some point or multiple points when you have something unresolved that the story just refuses to resolve until the last second or until it's absolutely vital. Another fan favorite of mine and my final point for tension is to let the character be right early. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? No. Okay, so this is something that's more, I feel like when you have the character be right and think they're so right in the beginning and then, I'm wrong. Oh my God. Having that eventually, like, it helps with plot twists, of course, but having that twist where they realize they're not right makes it all the more subtle, first of all, but also devastating. And I love that. Do you know how many times I've thought I was right the whole time? Lo and behold, I'm wrong. That's how a lot of characters function too. That's how my characters function. They always think they're right and then bam. No, what you thought was right was wrong. Sorry, now you're in a lot of trouble. And I built tension naturally that way. You can also have it half of the way too, where a character does correctly identify a problem, but it's a bit too early, and what the information they have, as they're getting more information, it's changing and evolving the information that they have, so technically they're not right. Another way for this to happen is that they actually do have the right information, but no one listens. No, I saw him murder her. No, I think you're wrong. No, you're wrong. So have no one listen. That's more fun because then they have to try to prove it and try to work through it. Whatever. You can also follow that by, but the time that they they have the proof, they have the evidence, they have everything they need to go. It's too late. He already did murder someone else. I told you guys that he was the murderer. Oh, girl, you was right. You know? So there's 100 ways to go about it, but just keep these in mind. That was my really crappy example. I do find that being right too early does help to build tension, just because then it's like, am I gonna be able to prove this? Can I prove this? Will it matter if I prove this? And by the time I prove it, well, what's gonna happen by that point? Okay. I did also just want to give a really quick example. I don't know if I'm going to include this in the video, but I'm currently reading the Korean manga, I Am the Villain. I usually avoid these kinds of stories like the plague because Webtoon has overdone them 1,000 times at this point. It trended one time, and now they're making thousands. But this one is really well done. I chose it because the artwork is so beautiful. I'll probably put it up on the screen. I really do appreciate the tension and how they built it in this novel. This girl somehow ends up in her friend's storybook, you know, common cliche, and she's like, well, I know how the story plays out. I didn't read it, but I did read the main plot points, and I did read all the spoilers. Basically, she is the villain in the novel, and she knows the villain's backstory to some degree. So she's like, okay, I got this in the bag. Everything she thought she knew flipped upside down as somehow new characters got introduced. And then the guy that was supposed to call off the engagement with her was like, I'm not calling it off. We're not calling it off. At this point, he's just like, we're not calling it off. And at this point, she feels forced to have to agree with him because what's going to happen if she doesn't? But the tension building up between the main character thinking, oh, I have this right. Okay, I just need to do this and nothing bad is going to happen to me. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. This poor girl that is trapped in, I don't know, whatever century it is, the 17th century, medieval times, who knows, this poor child. But if you do want to see tension built up wonderfully and you like reading manga or Korean mangas, go check out I Am the Villain. It's my current obsession and it just came back with a new season. Okay, so now that I have given you ways to build up the tension in the writing room, go ahead and write. Go ahead. I'm rooting for you. You got this. So you can check out my playlist on other writing techniques somewhere over here. I don't know where it is, somewhere on the screen, but thank you so much for watching this video. And I really hope I gave you a little bit of, I don't know, butter to put on your bread, or I don't even know how to say it. If you want to check out more videos, up above. If you want to see my life behind the scenes in Japan, you can follow my socials, which will be at the end credit roll with the beautiful soundtrack. And yeah, you'll see a lot of stuff, and you can get more information on my Substack as well. If you like the video, please be sure to like the video and subscribe and comment, and I don't know, just let me know how you're doing. I always comment back. And I think you will see me on Saturday with a new video about mental health, something for mental health for writers. I will, I guess, see you then. So until then, stay happy, safe, healthy, and be sure to write to your heart's content, or write your heart's content. Let me see if I can get up. Okay. Bye.